Hello. Z, Harry's, Twitch, Jcam, Grins, Pincher. Your friends and mine. Day off of work? I wish this was my work. How many tournaments are under the IPL server now? Not enough. If you are not watching the IPL Twitch channel 24/7, the answer, Fern, is not enough. Fern, I honestly don't know the answer to that. I mean, I could, not off the top of my head, but I could figure it out. Hiya. Kiki's using my Twitch chat as a FA post channel. So be it. I should just play with day-old sushi. Wanted to play with him alone. Makes sense here. Idiots in chat. Well, if it wasn't for me, people wouldn't know that they're stupid. I'm helping this country. I'm helping the internet. You love the hat? Thank you. It's a Santa Claus hat. Christmas is this week. You guys been good boys and girls this year? Probably not. Highly doubt you guys have been. Highly doubt. Rip the Wigglies? I talked about them. I did a whole segment talking about them last episode. Episode number 90. The first season of the podcast. When's the season finale of the podcast? When am I going to take like a 2-month break? Come back when I get a sponsor. I did not miss this weekend's Wiggly Twitter. I never miss that. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify, while you are throwing in League to get the lowest possible score that you can, studying up on the expedition of the Lois and Clark, the Lois and Clark expedition, needing to schedule three Ludi sets during the week of Christmas. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this. Unless I don't. Yesterday was pretty good, right? Yesterday was pretty good. We had a not so good week of things going on Twitter, I guess you could say. And yesterday was good until I guess some teams in DivX threw a hissy fit about something. So, but regardless, the things that actually happened IPL related yesterday were pretty good, right? Good enough to where I'm going to be talking about it at length today. But first, some quick news of some tournaments that are upcoming that may be of interest to the casual listener of the Popcast. I don't think there is any. Are we done with the year? I mean, I know there's like paddling pool and like an SOS, but like I think we're just done for the year as far as like non-weekly tournaments going on. I think everything is, and there's a lot of stuff for January that's just not announced yet. Like I haven't seen any Minnow Cup or Little Squid League announced for January. There's a lot of IPL stuff announced for January, but I don't have any like upcoming tournaments. There's that tournament that Shmee made, the Invitational, that's on January the 2nd, that includes some team called the Wiggly Phantoms, disbanded last week and now already showing up in another tournament. That's strange. It's almost like Wiggly Phantoms. You tried to tell us it wasn't us, it was you, and you needed some distance from us, but now we see you going around with some new tournament already. Already you found some new tournament to hang out with? Really? You know what? We don't care. We don't care. We found a new Wiggly Phantom. We got so many other teams that are way better than you in so many different ways. So we don't care that you're playing with some new tournament. I didn't even notice it. Popcast next week. If there's no tournaments, what are we going to talk about? I'm actually going to do 2 episodes of the Popcast next week. Monday, we're going to recap all of Ludi. I'm going to go back, look at Div X all the way down to Div 9. We're going to check in on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, see what they're up to. We're going to recap everything that happened and compare what actually happened versus what I predicted would happen or previewed would happen, so that you guys who want to take your shots at the Ludi Seeding Council, I'll put my face out there and let you do just that with the actual results you get. I'll also explain why why taking a shot at people who came up with something on November the 13th doesn't make any sense when everything you accomplish afterwards is something the Seeding Council can't take into account when they're seeding you on November the 13th. But hey, whatever. Whatever makes you guys sleep better at night. We're all for that. The second episode of the Popcast we're going to do next week, and I don't know the exact date we're going to do this, is going to be the end of the year Popcast Awards, the second annual Popcasties. Whatever. I'll put out a tweet at some point next week. We want to know the best team of the year, the best match, the second best match of the year, the second best team Twitter of the year. We want all those other categories. I forget what it was. Captain of the year. Let's include things like the play of the year, the individual best play of the year. I forget what all the categories were, but I'll tweet it out, and we want your response. It's a combination of what you guys think the best of each category should be with a combination of what I think each category should be, because it's not the People's Choice Awards, it's the Popcast Awards, and you guys just get to influence my decision because I control everything here. You're in my house, baby, so be looking out for that tweet. Or don't, whatever. It doesn't bother me. Today, we are recapping Low Ink, a worthy Low Ink to end the year in a fantastic way. But first, it's not often that I do a Low Ink recap episode where Low Ink isn't the leading story isn't the opening segment of the podcast, right? It would need to be something significant to override a Low Ink. It would need to be something that the community desperately needs, has been needing for a long time now, all year long. Something that heals the wounded and helps it is the final missing piece to complete the puzzle, the millennial puzzle that is this competitive Splatoon community. Well, the cat's out of the bag now, isn't it? SAC is back and better than ever. New and improved. SAC has absorbed Android 17 and 18 and has become perfect. i.e. absorbing Midway and doing a fusion dance with IPL. See, it's not the Splatoon amateur circuit because you guys can't handle the word amateur, even though we are all literally amateurs, unless you are somehow sponsored by, I don't know, there might be like 2 teams sponsored right now, but it seems like everyone who was sponsored lost their sponsorship at some point. So to say the technical term definition of the word amateur applies to all of you idiots. So don't think of it, oh, I'm too good to be an amateur. Bro, what, you professional? Really? Okay. But it's not the amateur circuit anymore. It's the advanced circuit because things are a little bit different from when it was just an amateur circuit. Full disclosure. Yes, this is now under the IPL umbrella. But you guys, I think some people associate me as IPL. I'm not. I just do low ink. That's it. Low ink is just one thing. It might be the biggest thing IPL is known for, but it's not. It's just one thing. I have no involvement in the SAC side of the IPL server at all. Like I'll just hop in on a meeting every now and then. I might give my input on something, but I'm not like just doing any decision making at all with IPL. JPEG tweeted out the same thing. And that's not something so I'm not sitting here like, oh, well, I'm going to talk about SAC, like representing SAC. I don't. I'm not involved in that at all. And that's not something me or JPEG need to be involved with. Hohen's involved in everything. So that makes sense. But like the goal, me and JPEG's goal is to help make low ink better every single month. And our goal is going to be next month. We're going to be too busy trying to get more casuals into the scene, try to get our low ink numbers back up so we can get a gamma bracket again next month and actually feel good about it. I'm not sitting here saying anything representing SAC, and I'm not going to spill any. Like if you guys have questions about SAC and you're asking me, I'm not the help desk. Some people were DMing me some stuff yesterday, and I'm fine to answer that. But, like, go to the help desk for SAC if you need actual questions. I'm not, that's not who I am, okay? I'm the low-end guy. This is more so Ray's, the former head TO for Testing Grounds, and in combination with the SAC and Midway staff that kind of came together to make this all work out. The big difference this time around, if you remember, when Ludi's season number 11 came out, SAC announced that when they do their next season, that it was going to be Div 4 and below because of that was back when Div 4 was like 48 teams instead of the 28, instead of the 24 that it is right now. But as you guys know, a SAC season with Div 4 and below never happened. There was no SAC after the most recent one ended. What was the finals in like late February or March or something like that? So that's so we haven't seen an SAC since it was all about the divs. So what happened was IPL kind of went to SAC and was basically just like, hey, what we need like an SAC kind of tournament. What do you guys need to get your next season? And they're like, here's some issues that we have constantly that are always makes running SAC really annoying. And IPL was like, well, we got a infrastructure and all the resources that fix every single one of those problems. And they're like, oh, really? So that's where all the discussion come in. I think Raze and JPEG are going to do their podcast at some point this week. Maybe, don't quote me on that. I think they might do it. I guess that's a good descriptor for that. I don't know. But if they do, I would assume Raze would give a more in-depth talk as to what kind of happened there between the merger between the two organizations. However, the big difference here, the +3 thing. Instead of using Ludi divs to determine if your team is eligible or not for SAC, they are using the plus servers, which is completely different. Personally, I am interested to see how it's going to go, but I like it. I like the idea that instead of using a Ludi div that gets updated once, maybe twice a year, they're using a system that gets updated once a month. Heck, it just got updated today. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, I mean, the problem is no matter what you do, you're always going to use some other organization, right, to kind of determine who is and isn't eligible for these skill cap ceilings. Low ink, we have to use Ludi divs. SAC using +3. So then it comes down to the voting servers, who we have talked about time and time again, the voting system being all the flaws that are in that thing are now being used to determine who is and isn't eligible for SAC. That is an issue, yes, but is there a better solution to something like this right now? Probably not. Same thing with low ink, is using Ludi divs. After this month, is using Ludi divs, probably even this month, using Ludi divs a good indicator of who should and shouldn't be in low ink? Probably not. But is there a better solution right now? The answer is just no. And nobody has ever offered up a better idea. The good news, though, about the plus servers, as mentioned, it's at least updated monthly. So at least people are looking at it. So it's not that bad. It's not as bad as using Ludi divs, and it's still like somebody else. And it's a lot easier to check. For SAC, if you looked in the help desk, what they've been saying, a lot of people have been saying, well, is this player eligible? The simple question is this: are they in +3? The simple question is this: are they in +2 or +1? If yes, you are banned. If no, you're not banned. That's it. That's so easy. That's so easy. We don't need to be like, well, what was your Ludi div last time? Oh, you haven't played the game in this X amount of months. Do you have recent results? Blah, blah, blah. No, it's just, are you in +2? No? Okay, you can play. Even teams that were banned from SAC before because they were graduates or whatever, all that's been wiped away. Even Midway. I think there was a player that won Midway that was in help desk yesterday. And they're like, no, that's wiped clean. Not in +2. You're good to go. So it's real simple to determine if you are eligible for SAC or not. And that includes, so before it was going to be what? Div 4 and below, the old SAC rules. Now that it's the Splatoon Advanced circuit, you could have, help me out. Is there a Div 1 team that doesn't have anybody in +2? I bet you there is. I haven't sat down and looked at it, but I think there are some Div 1 teams, like full roster teams that can play in SAC. I know for a fact the good chunk of Div 2 is going to be eligible for this. Campfire has one player in +2. Destiny Troops, all our players are +3. Offset Paradise. I think Summit got people in +2? I want to say they were at one point. Jester should be eligible for it. I mean, you think about some of these name brand, Operation Paradox maybe too. You think about some of these name brand Div 2 teams. They're all eligible for SAC all of a sudden. And I wonder how many people, because we talk about stigmas, right? I talk about how, like, okay, so that launch point tournament that allowed Div 3 players into that draft tournament. How many Div 3 players would be like, I'm not playing in something called launch point? I wonder how many Div 2 teams are not going to play in this SAC because it's got the stigma of having the word amateur in it, even though they took that word out because you guys are babies who can't handle the word amateur. I wonder how many Div 2 teams are just going to flat out skip it, or how many people that sit in +3 and are just going to be like, I'm too good for this tournament, I'm not going to play in it. All right, interesting. We'll see how that goes. But if that does happen, if it doesn't happen, and those Div 2 and maybe that one or two Div 1 teams that are eligible for this, they do play in this, I wonder. I don't think this is going to be the tournament that low ink band teams are going to have a good time in, particularly. I mean, you think about it, right? It's what was last season? What was last SAC season? There was a huge problem with the fact that low ink and SAC were it was basically the same thing. The teams that were making top cut in SAC were just like the high ink one teams, and everybody else that was on the borderline were like low ink teams. Hell, you had the C Boys who finished second place in January low ink, turned around the very next SAC tournament, they won. That should not be happening in a tournament series where you're trying to say this is the next step. No, you can't even win low ink, but you can win SAC. That should not correlate at all. You shouldn't be. For example, when Destiny Troops won low ink back in March of 2020, that was during the SAC season number 2. That same month, the month afterwards, we played in an SAC tournament. We didn't even make top cut. We were going from winning low ink to missing top cut in SAC in the same time span. Whereas last season, you don't even have to win low ink, and you are going to win the next SAC tournament. That shouldn't happen. So that it's a return to normalcy here. If you are winning low ink and you get banned from it, you're still probably going to have a really rough time in this SAC format, depending on who signs up for it. And that's a good thing. There should be a clear divide gap. This is why I've always said, okay, you win low ink. Does that mean you're banned from low level? No, it just means you're banned from low ink. And maybe there should be something the next step afterwards. But this is not, if there's teams that are like, yes, I'm banned from low ink, finally, SAC's back. There's a lot of Div 2 teams that are just like, welcome. We've been suffering way longer than you guys have, and we're going to take our frustrations out on you. I bet you that's what's going to be the case here. And I mean, again, I feel like that's how it should be. Now, what does this mean for IPL? Right? Because a lot of people, somebody compared us to Disney. Now we're just buying up everything and bringing it in. The aggressive expansion. This is kind of what I've been talking about, though, right? I mentioned this back in the August Popcast episode, where I was talking about it makes no sense. If we're trying to grow a community, it makes no sense that we have like 10 different organizations in standalone tournaments, all with their own Twitch channels, none of which people can subscribe to. They're streaming once a month. They're not getting, they might get followers, but they're not going to get affiliate because they're not streaming enough. They're not going to get subscriptions or donations or bits or anything like that. And they're not going to eventually become partnered because we're too spread out. We should join forces, right? Dapple Productions paid attention because I'm not taking credit for this, but isn't it kind of weird that directly after I said that on the Popcast, they immediately got Paddling Pool and Squid Junction, like literally the week after that? And IPL's looking at the same exact way, going out and grabbing SAC and saying, let's bring you guys in on what we got here, and let's keep growing the scene together. This is a good thing. Dapple Productions growing is a great thing. IPL growing is a great thing. These tournaments that are standing alone, cool. But if we're trying to grow a community, if we're trying to build infrastructure now, right? Instead of just sitting here and waiting for Splatoon 3 to come out and being like, okay, when Splatoon 3 comes out, all these casuals that we've been chasing away the entire time, they're suddenly just going to come in and save our community. No, we need infrastructure in place today so that there's something we can do day one of Splatoon 3 where everything's just switch over. We're just switching the game over. Here's low ink. Here's Checkpoint 1. Here's the launch point that is now turning into Ink Odyssey as well. Here is SAC after that. Here are the... Don't worry about the plus servers just yet. Just don't worry about that. But here's all the other things we got. Here's Squid Junction. Here's Paddling Pool. Here's SOS. Here's all these tournaments that have been going on so long. Here's Little Squid League, the real tournament you should be starting off in. when you're getting into the scene. All these things should be united and growing at this point, not just pumping the brakes and waiting for Splatoon 3 to come out. That's not how we grow this into a legit esport. So the fact that IPL is going out, and I know it's ironic me saying this, I even got an IPL pin right now, but the fact that IPL is going out and trying to grow our own organization, that's a good thing for all of us. And finally, everyone that DMs me, could I get in the low ink? I haven't played the game in X amount of months or whatever. Like, I can finally tell those people, go to SAC, leave me alone. Go enjoy that. And man, what a win for mid-level this is right now. First off, you got Midpoint, who well, I mean, you got that, but you got Ink Odyssey coming out next month that is going to get rid of Midpoint. Yay. You have SAC coming out next month. This is going to give a tournament for all those mid-level teams. Is mid-level completely solved right now? I don't know. But this is the great step forward that we've been needing. It sucks that 2021 will be remembered as the year where mid-level really suffered. 2022 will be the year where we build it all right back. Hopefully. Nintendo will become the bad ideas only. It already is. Let's have a tournament where you can't use the Splatfest T. Tower control becomes best of one, and every single map is available. Oh, and when we get to grand finals, you have to counterpick turf war at some point. That sounds like something Roundy would come up with as a joke. That honestly does. How did you say it out loud? Again, if you have questions about SAC, go to the help desk. I made this arrow way bigger. If you want more information on how it was all created, maybe look out for a Raise and JPEG podcast coming out at some point this week. If it doesn't, then, well, maybe I'll have them on at some point themselves. Who knows? Who cares? Because we're not talking about SAC anymore. It's time for the weekly recap. Plus server voting came out today, and as usual, we turn our attention to the one person who actually gives us helpful information about this, which is K-Bot, who hasn't tweeted anything yet, statistic-wise. So it hasn't really been broken down as far as, was this a purge month? Did somebody get kicked out? Did somebody get voted in? Or what the statistics are of this? Who knows? The only thing I really checked, do my guys get back in? And it looks like all the DT members are back in and comfortably in, so cool. I wonder, now that SAC is a thing, how many people that were trying to get into +2 were all of a sudden like, whoa, wait, no, I'm not good enough, downvote me, I'm not good enough to be in +2 yet. Don't worry, that person suggested me as a joke. I'm not ready for +2, you know, because now it's like, oh, wait a minute, I'd rather play in this SAC thing here. I wonder. SOS number 52, won by Arctic Moon, who decided to grace everyone with their presence in a tournament where they had nothing to gain. Either they were going to win the tournament undefeated, which they did, or they would lose one game and some kid would take it to Twitter and be super excited about it, which they should have. Another interesting thing, if you look at SAC, the teams eligible for it, it's basically the same teams that sign up for SOS. So it's going to just be like a weekend SOS. That'd be exciting if we bring in like Europe. But Arctic Moon won this tournament. Congratulations. There's no prize, but you win. Maybe Congrats. Second place goes to Summit. Campfire getting third place. Fight Club won the Hammerhead brackets. Vivace. I don't think it's pronounced Vivace. I think it's Vivace. I think it's a musical term. One Mako bracket, insert team name. One Lantern. Paddling Pool 142. Won by Goat to Goat 124. LOL took second place, and ASC Tenshi won third place. LOL is a pickup team made up of Haya, Rhythm, Dawage, and Elias. I keep thinking about the Wiggly Cast where they make fun of me spelling out things that I can't actually pronounce. So I can just try to force you guys to try to pronounce it yourselves. Whatever. Paddling Pool 142. Hats off to Haya for winning second place there. Goat to Goat 124 and ASC Tenchi, I believe, are all Div 1 teams participating in first and third place in that tournament, respectfully. Both Paddling Pool and SOS are going to be going on this week, December the 22nd, if you're interested in playing in that. I know a lot of you don't have anything to do. Your schools are closed, and, well, you have nothing to do but to play video games all day long, so might as well play in some tournaments, right? Ludi Divs of the week, or Ludi matches of the week. I forgot to do this last week, my bad. Div 1, give a shout out to Polar Knights beating the UK Mafia 5-4. In Div 4, giving a shout out to the Demon Hunters knocking off Inkling Technology at Purdue 5-4. And then Div 6, my other match of the week, Kappa getting a 5-4 win over the Yummy Stars, an alpha bracket team from this past Low Inc. The Kansas City Chiefs beat the Los Angeles Chargers by a final score of 34-28. That was back on Thursday. Travis Kelce getting the overtime win and then flexing it in front of the camera. The Los Angeles Rams play the Seahawks on Tuesday. How does that work? If you bought a ticket for a game on a Sunday and it got moved to a Tuesday, how many people are actually going to go to that? I don't know, but go Rams anyways. And that was your weekly recap. Sponsored by the Spirit of Christmas. What is the true meaning of spirit this holiday season? Well, that's for you to determine. For me, it's about getting gifts and getting as much gifts as you possibly can and giving gifts to other people so that they'll feel obligated to give you a gift in return. That is the true meaning of Christmas. Sponsored by, proud sponsor of the weekly recap. Splashdown is not the meaning of Christmas. Low Inc. Somebody tweeted out, I believe it was Chicharron, tweeted out a question on Twitter last night. Why is it that Low Inc. is the best tournament to watch, regardless of the skill level? Why is it more exciting to watch a Low Inc. tournament than it is to watch a DivX match? The answer is not the comps. Maybe there's some people that are interested in the comps that are used. It's not that, though. Yes, Low Inc. traditionally has been using weapons that are, commentators will say, interesting. That's just a polite term commentators use for this is a bad idea. But Low Level is not afraid to experiment. Yes, that is true. They're not afraid to do things off meta, even though we did see a lot of meta stuff yesterday. It's the fact that this tournament is totally and completely unpredictable. I go on here every single week or every single month, and I give you guys my top 10. And I do. Like, the teams in my top 10 traditionally all mostly make alpha bracket. Like, 80% of the teams. I think I've had a pretty long streak now of, like, 8 of my top 10 teams making alpha bracket, or at least. but I've only predicted one correct winner ever. What? This is, I've covered on the Popcast maybe 17 or so low inks now. I've only ever gotten one team correct once. If I were to do this for DivX, if I were to give like a top 10 prediction of who's going to win what DivX match, if you guys were to do a top 10 prediction of who was going to win what DivX match, you guys would be correct like 95% of the time. Most of that stuff in a open invite tournament. The question is this: did the Kings sign up? Yes? Okay. I predict they're going to win the tournament. No? Okay. Did Starburst sign up? Yeah. Okay. They're going to win. Did FT Win sign up too? Okay. That's your interesting. Ooh, who between FT Win and Starburst is going to win? I'd probably lean toward FT Win, but since they only play in gimmick tournaments now, maybe Starburst has the edge in certain situations. I don't know. Or neither one of those teams signed up to play, but they're playing together as back pink. That team's going to win. There's no parity at high level. It's just who signs up to go in and play. At low ink, we have no clue. And it's not just me, although I'm sitting here going to make fun of myself for this episode, as I traditionally do when I get things wrong in low ink. But it's not just me. You, the audience, you, the other people who release your low ink top 10s, you have no idea who is actually going to win this tournament. We have our best thoughts. And the team that everyone thought. Like whenever I release a top 10 and I get my number one team, it's usually the same number one team that everyone else is predicting to win. And it almost never happens. There's so much parity at low ink. Just look at this last grand finals. Lois versus the Sleeping Seals. Who saw that one coming? Who predicted that to be the grand finals? Who thought both those teams would beat Snowfall before that tournament started? Who honestly, raise your hand if you thought both those teams were going to beat Snowfall? I knew Lois. I knew Lois was going to be good, right? Because I put them in my preview. I think I had them at like number 3 or 4. I had them at number 4 in my top 10. But that's only because I have access to resources that kind of give me an unfair advantage over you guys. I knew that Lois was Nerve. And I knew they were a team that finished 4th place in a strong low ink with the Fukatsu Angels, Sirius, and the Deep Fried Octoling. So I knew how good they were, but since they changed their name and they've, unless you played them in like Div 6, I think is what they're in, you wouldn't know how good they actually are. Yes, Z, I know we played against them, but that wasn't a low level. That was an open invite tournament. If you didn't actually play against Lois, you didn't know how good they were, or you didn't know what their history was. But I knew, and that's why I had them in my top 10, but I wouldn't blame somebody else for not knowing who Lois was, getting into that. The Sleepy Seals, or the Sleeping Seals, I believe is what they're named, not the Sleepy Seals, as I've been calling them. Who honestly thought? Now, they're going to play the card of, nobody believed in us, but we did. I'm like, okay, cool, that's great. That is true. But who in their right mind would have thought the Sleeping Seals were going to win this one? Let me clear your mind here. I'm just going to read off results of a random team. And you tell me what div you are going to put this team in. And these are all results before November the 13th, which is where Ludi Divs came out, right? Random team. Let's call them the Woozy Walruses. They played in 5 low inks this year. And that's it. They might have played in like a King of the Castle and finished next to the bottom in their group. But otherwise, the other results they have, at least on Battlefy, 5 low inks. In 3 of those 5 low inks, they did not qualify for Sunday. Didn't qualify for Gamma Bracket at all. In the other 2 low inks, they made Beta Bracket to their credit, got eliminated in Losers Round 2 in July, and Losers Round 3 in October. So the best this team has ever done in 5 low inks is Losers Round 3 of Beta Bracket. Keep in mind, The Ludi divs are based off of how many teams signed up, and Div 6 is currently loaded with teams that traditionally make alpha bracket. That is teams that are loading Div 6 right now. Where do you put the Woozy Walruses if you're on the seeding council? I'll give you a moment. The correct answer is Div 7. On the very top of Div 7. Now, can you sit here and say, if you scrimmed against the Woozy Walruses, and you scrimmed against them in November, and you saw just how amazing and strong they were, that you'd be like, oh, you guys can't put these guys in Div 7. They're way better than everybody else there. They need to be bumped up to the Div 6 with all the alpha bracket teams, right? Can you bump up a team? That's a very niche thing. It's a very hidden thing, right? It's not open in public. Even the Woozy Walruses, when they presented themselves in the Ludi, like when they put down what the results were, the only results they put was like, we just made beta bracket a couple of times. You can't put them anywhere higher than that. This is just some insight as to what's going on in the mind of seeding council members. You can't just look at one team. Yes, it's so easy to look at a team like the Sleepy Seals. They won low ink now. Are they a Div 7 team today? Of course not. Of course they're not a Div 7 team today. They're going to win Div 7 likely, and probably would, well, heck, Lois is 5-0 in Div 6. They might win Div 6 too if you bump them up to that. Can you put them in Div 6 on November the 13th with the results they had? No, you cannot. You absolutely cannot do that. It's just not something that can happen. Hell, nobody believed in the Sleeping Seals during grand finals. Everybody, this is probably the most channel points anyone has lost in the low ink tournament stream. Everybody voted for the Sleeping Seals in grand finals. They got absolutely, to say they got spanked in those first 3 games is a understatement, is a disservice to the word spanked. They got dismissed. It's like the first bracket didn't even happen. And so what happened? Everybody who already lost all their channel points on the Seals moved all of their channel points to Lois, only for the Sleeping Seals to suddenly wake up and then start dominating Lois. And then, so like everybody lost this tournament on the stream, and that was really great to see. But the thing is this, the Seals believed in themselves. And that's the story here. This is the card that needs to be played being, oh, the seeding council didn't believe in us. No, we had the information, you did. Oh, nobody on Twitch believed us. Nobody on Twitter believed in us. Like, what have you guys done to make it believable? That's not the story, though. The story is a team that the best results they've ever had was beta losers round 3 can win this tournament. This tournament with loaded teams in it, traditional alpha bracket teams coming in it, and strong alpha bracket teams coming back. We don't even mention Dark Rain signed up after my top 10. Dark Rain would have been like top 5 if they had signed up beforehand, because Dark Rain's a really good team. They came back, including Access Denied had a resurgence here. You got those all traditional alpha bracket teams that fell to beta. You had a really strong low ink here, and a team like Sleeping Seals is able to win this one. That is a great success story, and that's something anybody in beta bracket right now is saying, that could be us in January. It just takes 1 month, and all of a sudden we're right up there. This is an awesome success story. Why it has to be turned into the seeding council has no idea what they're doing on November the 13th, or everybody was against us. Okay. Destiny Troops, when we won, man, how many times am I going to reference Destiny Troops winning low ink? As often as I want to, I guess. When we won in March of 2020, did I believe we could win? Yes. Did anybody else think we could win? Probably not. Did I blame anybody else for thinking we could win? No, because before we won it, we've made top cut like twice in 10 tournaments. It's not expected for us to do that. But the fact that low ink is able to happen where the unexpected can happen, and it can happen right in front of your face, and it can make your jaw drop. What the Sleeping Seals did last week or yesterday made your jaw drop. And that's awesome. That's exciting. That's what makes Low Ink so special. That's why it's the most watched tournament every single month. It's why you guys tweet about it all the time. It's why I'm not hitting the panic button, even though we finished with 48 teams at the end of Saturday. Close to 300 teams are still watching Grand Finals. Close to 300 people are still watching Grand Finals at the end. You guys care about Low Ink. It's the best thing on Splatoon TV right now. It's the best thing. We should start charging subscriptions to it. Now, for the rest of Low Ink here. My top 10. Like I said, I think I got, obviously, Sleepy Seals. I owe you guys an apology. I at least mentioned you guys. I think I said this sentence that I don't know if they exist. That was it. That was me misspoking. What I meant to say was, I don't know if they think I exist. But they took that statement I said of, I don't think they exist, and kind of ran with it. No, I knew they existed because I always called them the Sweepy Shields. But I didn't think they'd be this good. My goodness. So my bad. In all fairness, they have been dominating Div 7 up to this point. And I think I did point that out. But I thought, honestly, I thought this would be like okay, they could make Alpha Bracket, and then we could like see how good they actually are against teams that aren't in Div 7. Well, we've seen it now. They're beating up Div 5 teams at this point. For the rest of it, yeah, everybody else made, the other teams in my top 10 made it. One team dropped before the tournament started. Again, the other team I had like near the bottom of my top 10, and they didn't make Alpha Bracket, but everybody else did. And I guess we'll talk about them all when we get to actual Alpha Bracket stuff. A really competitive Low Ink, a lot of 3-2 matches, a lot of matches going, a lot of upsets, I guess you could say. And I'm excited. You know, it sucks because I wanted to see more of the Sleeping Seals in Low Inks before they got shown the door. But we still get to see a lot of good teams coming back. And think about it, add Legato into the mix. You add some other teams like Dark Moraine got added back into the mix. There's a lot of other teams that you can add here to where the top 5 is going to be really confusing going forward. And that's a good thing. Again, if it's Starburst in a tournament, okay, they're going to win. Just give them why are they making Starburst play these other teams in Div X? Just give them the prize money now, like an early Christmas bonus. In Low Ink, that doesn't happen. We have no idea. When you add more teams back into the mix that didn't play this month, it gets even better. So I'm excited about that. Another thing to note, no Gamma Bracket. We just couldn't do it. At the end of Saturday, there were only 48 teams left, and we knew that more teams were going to drop like Sunday morning. Not a lot of teams dropped Sunday morning. I think only one did, maybe two. So that was good, but still, Gamma Bracket, ideally, when we set up this day 2 system, it was supposed to be with the mindset of about half of the teams were qualifying for day 2. Here you're having more than half by having a beta bracket, but it's justifiable to have a beta bracket because all those teams are typical beta bracket-ish teams anyways. But you can't do a Gamma Bracket when you have a team that is 0-6 that is going to be playing in it, and if anybody drops at all, then you're automatically losing teams from your Gamma Bracket. Like, Gamma Bracket could have been just like the bottom 8 teams left. And it's like, well, what's the point of doing that at that point? So we'll go out. We'll try to promote. We'll try to bring in some new teams. Our goal next month is to get Gamma Bracket back. Again, we're not waiting for Splatoon 3 to come out. We want to keep growing the scene going forward. And we'll try to do just that. Let's look at some matches from Saturday and Sunday. Solution for Low Ink 2022. You're predicting that you got the whole year to win Low Ink. Let's take a look at some matches from Swiss. First off, and a good chunk of these, I kind of tweeted this out last night. 18, I believe, of the 24 matches that happened in round 19 of the 24 matches that happened in round 6 were 2-1 results. So round 6 was extremely competitive. And I think most of these matches that I'm going to highlight here come from round 6. First off, I'm going to give a shout out to Snowfall playing Lois 2-1, beating them 2-1. This is there were a lot of rematches on Sunday in Alpha Bracket. A lot of rematches where the team that won on Saturday lost to that team on Sunday. Like it was a reversal, a little bit of a grudge match that went the other way around. Saturday and Sunday are completely different. They're completely different tournaments. Saturday, it's best of 3. Well, it's play all 3. You have a set map list. Sunday, it's best of 3 or best of 5, and you have control over what the maps are except for game 1. So they're completely different setups here. So that's why we usually see like revenge teams coming up against each other. But I do want to point out Snowfall. I'm going to talk about Snowfall again in a minute because they accomplished something that I don't think will ever be topped ever in Low Ink. My Opsitus got a 2-1 win over the Falling Sharks. I'll point this one out because I believe these are both German teams. And keep in mind, there was this German tournament going on. Someone sent me a link to it last night. I saw some people tweeting about it, but I haven't looked into it yet. I'll look into it, but I might tweet something about it. But I haven't looked into it, and I don't really have time to talk about it today. People kept saying there was 1,400 views. Does that mean 1,400 people were watching it live? Or there's just, if you look at the VOD on Twitch, it says there's 1,400. Because if you look at the VOD of Low Ink, it says like 3,000 people watched that tournament. But no, it was just like live, there's just like 250. But I don't know what a Twitch view is. But regardless, my Opsitus beating Falling Sharks 2-1. Both teams ended up making Alpha Bracket, and they look to be pretty strong teams. I wonder if there's a little friendly rivalry going on there. Splat-A-Lot A beat Inker Swim 2-1. This is a big win for any Splat-A-Lot team. We'll talk about Splat-A-Lot a little bit later, but there is I feel like that's the best win Splat-A-Lot A has gotten. Inker Swim, a team that was able to beat Kingmaker last month. I talked about them being one of the more experienced teams in this tournament, so that's a good quality win for Splat-A-Lot A there. Sigs Gig got a 2-1 win over Blue Moon. I'm not really sure if Blue Moon was ready for the attention they got last week when I announced them as the new and improved, much better version than the Wiggly Phantoms. But 6 Gig, it was a really, I said this was one of the best pickup teams we've ever had in Low Ink, just based off of the rosters. So that looked to be a good matchup there, but credit to 6 Gig for getting the win there. Insquidius got a 2-1 win over Hidden Radiance of the Dawn, not to be confused with Hidden Radiance of the Twilight. Can't they just be Hidden Radiance, I wonder? Insquidius was formerly Radical Dreamers, is what we could found, and this was another one of those round 6 matchups. It's a matchup that didn't determine much as far as what happened on Sunday, but still, it's another example of why everybody should play in Low Ink. Yeah, you'll get your butt kicks for the first several rounds, but you'll eventually get matched up with those teams right at your skill level that you should be scrimming and growing with. Squidius getting the better end of Hidden Radiance right there. BitClam got a 2-1 win over Ewfish. And this is where, I like to look up matchup histories. Like, I like to see histories between two teams, right? Like, I like to see how often they played against each other, who gets win over what team in what situations. But I feel like BitClam and Ewfish have played against each other a lot. And if there was some sort of website and I could just type in BitClam versus Oofish history. If they had like a Wikipedia page, I'd be interested in seeing that for a lot of other teams. But I wanted to point this one out because it looked like it was a close set, and it's two teams I feel like probably have played against each other a lot. Splat-A-Lot A got a 2-1 win over Splat-A-Lot B. Who are these Splat-A-Lot guys? Because there was also a Splat-A-Lot C team. And it seems like they're new, especially Splat-A-Lot C. They asked a lot of questions, helped us, which is good. You know, there's a lot of new teams playing in Low Inc all the time, and you want to kind of help them out. I mean, sometimes they ask a lot of questions. It's like, you just play the tournament, you'll figure it out. Like, you'll figure it out as you go. But whoever these Splat-A-Lots, this Splat-A-Lot clan is, it's good to see that they're producing a lot of teams. It's funny they get to play against each other. Are we going to see a Splat-A-Lot D next month? Are we just going to keep going down the alphabet? Splat-A-Lot D's nuts. Intimidation Factor got a 2-1 win over Heaven's Infinity. This is a good win for Intimidation Factor. Heaven's Infinity was mostly Heaven's Moonlight, which was an alpha bracket team back in November. Intimidation Factor won Little Squid League. It haven't done a whole heck of a lot since then, but getting a win against a former alpha bracket team in Heaven's Infinity is a good step in the right direction for Intimidation Factor. Winners from the Swiss stage. The teams with the highest opponent win percentage, there's one team I will mention at the very end, but the one team I want to mention right now are the Sweeping Shields. They went 5-1 on Saturday with opponent win percentage of 72%. Key wins coming against the Yummy Stars. Molly Whoppers, Kingmaker, and Sig's Gig. Sleeping Seals went on to win this tournament. But it wasn't easy. They had the toughest schedule. Well, arguably the toughest schedule on Saturday. 72% opponent win percentage. The Molly Whoppers, as mentioned, went 4-2 with opponent win percentage of 69%. Key wins coming against Shiver Me Inklings, Hydra, Kingmaker. I originally announced these guys as the Ticket to Ride pickup, and they keep DMing me and asking me if I was issued in 55. I don't get that reference. They DM'd it to me while I was running the tournament, which if you DM me during the tournament, it better be because your house is on fire and I am the only human being on planet Earth that could put it out. If it's not that, I'm most likely going to be annoyed because I'm doing a gazillion other things. So I just dismissed it, but they tweeted it at me again. I don't get what issued in 55 meant. But they're good in this tournament. Nice work, Molly Whoppers. Kingmaker went 4-2 after going 2-4 last month. This time around, getting 2 wins against Vivaci, OK Woomer, Kappa. Much better than last month. I saw they tweeted out they probably won't be playing Low Inc again just because they're adults and they have lives, and dedicating an entire weekend to something is not the easiest thing in the world to do. But still, Kingmaker redeemed themselves this time around. Sig's Gig, 5-1 from this pickup team. Key wins coming against the Squid Killers, Blue Moon, and Ocean 7. I feel like they lived up to the hype. They fell for the trap, though. I said, hey, one of your teammates is not going to wake up in time. Have an emergency plan. I said that to everybody. Guess what? Jimmy, you didn't wake up in time. How could you? Now, Jimmy, I believe, is like West Coast, so it's a little bit earlier for that person. But you know what? Ink Sync, they've been making fun of me for like 3 years now, so I'm never going to miss an opportunity to make fun of them back. I'm not scared of you. BitClam went 3-3 after going 2-4 last month. Key wins over Oofish and Insquidious. A little bit of a step up for BitClam. Would have been good if they had made Gamma Bracket. They would have been a strong team if there was a Gamma Bracket that existed. Myopsidus, 5-1. A good bounce back tournament for them. I said they needed a bounce back. I said they would bounce back, and they did. Going 3-3 here with key wins over the Falling Sharks, Ink Bashers, and Illumini. Went from beta bracket last month back into alpha bracket where they deserve to be. Octopi Utopia, another pickup team, got key wins against Intimidation Factor, Shiver Me Inklings, and Freelancing Takoyaki. Going 4-2 and making alpha brackets was this team, made up of the Tint player. I don't think we saw any Tint play on stream this time around. Kind of refreshing, considering we saw it pretty much nonstop last month. Ink Bashers, welcome back. You guys went 4-2 this month with key wins against Access Denied, Insert Team Name, and Blue Moon. The team that won Beta Bracket in October skipped November, came back and made Alpha Bracket, I believe their first Alpha Bracket ever, if I'm not wrong, here in this low week. I got 3 bigger winners. Actually, I got 2 winners that deserve some recognition here and 1 best overall winner. First off, Inkception went 3-3 this month after going 1-5 last month. Key wins against Indiglow, Rolling Squids, and Astro, landing them in a spot in beta. Going 1-5 to beta bracket. That's a Sleepy Seals level of jump up there. Same thing for Freelancing Takoyaki. Went 1-5 last month, 3-3 this time around with even better wins. Kappa, Wave Riders, Intimidation Factor. I believe they made beta bracket but dropped or didn't check in or something like that, but it doesn't discredit the accomplishment they pulled off on Saturday. Last, but certainly not least, Snowfall. We got to talk about what these guys did on Saturday, because what Snowfall did is beyond historic. Yes, they went 6-0. Who cares? Teams do that all the time. Yes, their opponent winning percentage was tied for the highest at 72%. Cool. It's not the highest. Port Raccoon has the highest one. That's I think is like in the low 80s. So 72, not crazy impressive. Wait till I list off the teams that Snowfall played against. They beat all 6 of these teams. Lois, Falling Sharks, Molly Whoppers, Sleepy Seals, Vivace, and Cope. What do all 6 of those teams have in common? They all made Alpha Bracket. Snowfall literally played Saturday and Sunday nothing but Alpha Bracket teams. That is probably the worst luck you can have in the Swiss. If Swiss sucks. I've admitted this openly. It's a necessary evil for something like Low Ink. But every now and then, something beautifully disastrous happens, like Snowfall getting fed teams that do nothing but make Alpha Bracket. And they beat all of them. Snowfall didn't win this tournament, yes, but this is the most impressive team to never win a Low Ink with what they accomplished in this Low Ink. They had the most unfair schedule of all time, and they beat all of them. Wow. Is it any wonder why we all had them at number 1? Is it any wonder? Hats off, Snowfall. 3rd place overall, but I don't think anybody will ever get placed up against nothing but Alpha Bracket teams on Saturday, and literally beat all of them. That is impressive. Let's take a look at Beta and Alpha and call it a day. What happened after Swiss? This thing called Sunday happened that we're going to look at right now. I like to think, Hapless Hero, that you're just now finding out about Low Ink, and I'm telling this grand story that you haven't heard yet. And you're like, what's the next chapter, Pop Gun? And I'm like, well, looks like you're a little too sleepy, though. You're going to have to go to bed. I'll tell you the next chapter tomorrow. No, we're going into it right now, baby, starting with, this is Beta Bracket. Yes, we got the right bracket up on screen. Lots to talk about here, unless there's not. A lot of now, again, round 1 has turned into this best of 3. That's just to speed up this tournament. Round 1s were taking forever when it was best of 5 because teams take too long to get into the lobby and they do incorrect counter picks and all this stuff. So it's interesting. You know, these 2-0 results, in my opinion, yeah, if this was a best of 5, would these things change? Possibly. You might have some reverse sweeps somewhere along the lines. Maybe Ocean 7. Maybe Kappa comes back or something like that. But I think the vast majority is just end up, like, I think most of these winners would not change at all. Maybe these guys would like, this was the only 1-2 matchup in round 1, but round 1, I like that it's best of 3. We speed things up. We get the tournament done quicker. We get rounds 2 here and losers bracket starting much faster, and that's what speeds up all the whole tournament. Some winners from this bracket that I want to point out here. First off, the Shiver Me Inklings. Yes, I believe they've won beta bracket before, so it's, are they crazy excited to be doing what they're doing here? I don't know. But still, the Shiver Me Inklings, the Pirates, they've needed a bounce back for a while. They get the bounce back here. 2-0 intimidation factor, get swept by Blue Moon, but they make a good run in losers bracket. Bit Clan, Orb, Heaven's Infinity before losing to the team that won the whole bracket, Squid Killers 2-0. So the only team to beat them finished in first and second. Shiver Me Inklings is a good number step back into the direction that they want to be heading in. Hydra deserves some credit here. Hydra, another one of those teams, kind of like the Sleeping Seals that just kind of show up every now and then. Getting to 2-0 Inception before losing the losers bracket and making another little run here. Knocking out Intimidation Factor, 2-0 in Illumini before losing yet again to Squid Killers. Man, Squid Killers knocking out all these strong teams here. Heaven's Infinity. Now, again, I mentioned this was an alpha bracket team last month. Does that mean that discredits this run they made in beta bracket? No. BitClam they beat, swept Hydra, lost to MyLag Paradise before getting knocked out by the Pirates. But still, Heaven's Infinity, you don't always have it on Saturday, you don't always have it on Sunday, but it's Heaven's Infinity has proven back when they were Heaven's Moonlight, they have been successful on Saturdays, and now they've been successful on a Sunday. They put it all together, they'll have a strong alpha bracket run. Grand finals here, Blue Moon and Squid Killers. First off, let's talk about Blue Moon for a second. The new darlings of low-level Splatoon. Now there's expectations for them to be funny every single day on Twitter. But the reason I wanted to point out Blue Moon is because they are good at the video game. They are proving it right here. They won the winner's bracket, beating out MyLag Paradise, not your, but MyLag Paradise, 3-2. And just couldn't really, just too much squid killing going on here. They were overcome, but still a good result for Blue Moon. Team constantly improving and heading in the right direction. A team we could all root for. Squid Killers, the team that won all this one. I do want to point out this match that they played here. The Squid Killers went to the suggestions and demanded we change our replay rules for some reason. I would assume, I don't know what match specifically happened, but I think they might be talking about Game 5 here, unless I'm wrong. So that might be why they lost. But still, for a quick synopsis of DC rules, it's not like Low Inc has rules that are different specifically from all these other tournaments. We really have the same rule every other legit tournament has. If there's some tournament that doesn't have a host DC rule that's similar to ours, you need to go to their suggestion and tell them to change it. The fact that I think they were arguing something like if the host DCs, it should be an automatic replay no matter what. That is absolutely ridiculous. What's to stop me? Oh, I'm about to get KO'd. Let me just pull the Ethernet cord. Oops, host DC'd, we get the replay. Well, you can't do it intentionally. How can you prove if someone DC'd intentionally or not? Somebody tried to do it in High Inc and they made it up. They ended up looking like an idiot in chat. So that's why the DC rule exists, where if you're the host and you DC and it's past the point where it normally would have counted in a normal game anyways, it's just an automatic L. That is 100% what the rules should be. If anyone has an issue with that rule, oh my gosh, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's literally not something that can be argued against in any logical way ever. But regardless of that, the Squid Killers still a really strong team. And keep in mind, this was the team, if Little Squid League 17 had happened, Squid Killers probably would have been eligible for it, right? Look, you saying just get good? They did get good. They won this tournament. They look really strong. And what would have happened if Squid Killers had played in that Little Squid League 17? They're walking out with that prize pool. Squid Killers looking really strong here. Obviously beating Blue Moon. Maybe they had Blue Moon host here. That would have been a wise move, but All the other teams they beat along the way, too. Insert team name, Orb, banishing these teams, taking frustration out on these poor teams. Hydra, Shiver Me Inklings, and My Lag Paradise. My goodness, what? 2, 4, 7 in a row straight wins against those teams. Yikes, Squid Killers. Take it easy on them, all right? No need to whoop on people. But nice win there, Squid Killers. Nicely done. Let's take a look at Alpha Bracket. One thing I want to point out here. This match right here. This was on stream. 6 Gig won game 1. It looked like they were for sure going to win game 2 until Yumi Stars came back and got that overtime win on Rainmaker, right? Like, overcame a huge deficit in overtime to win this one. Game 3, 6 Gig gets a huge lead. What happens? A DC, and that's in the most unfortunate time. And again, that's the same kind of situation. That it was past the point to where it could be replayed. Like it was a DC that had to go all the way through. And Yumi Stars playing in a 4v3, of course they came back and won it and won the whole set. But that's another example. Okay, well, what if the host DC'd? Why should that be a replay when the score was way past what a replay could be? That's why the host DC count. He just speeds up the inevitable. No sense for a replay because that's not going to change. But man, that just sucked. It sucks that it happened on stream. It's what is wrong with Mako Mart? Why do we always have DCs on Mako Mart? Is it somebody said there's like a frame rate issue on that map? I've never encountered that. I've always encountered frame rate issues on Hotel and Triggerfish. Is there like something in the coding that makes Mako Mart a little funky? I don't understand. But this sucks because I felt like 6 Gig was going to be really strong. But getting sent down early, you guys know it's next to impossible to recover from losing round 1 of winners of the winners bracket. Now we've seen we've seen teams make grand finals before after losing, but they usually run out of steam at some point and then just get steamrolled. But I do want to point that out. It's still a good win from the reason the Stars win this one is because they put themselves in a position to win. Your best ability is availability, and the Stars were available. Winning that game 2 put them in position for something crazy to happen in game 3. My winners from Alpha Bracket, Dark Rain. Again, I kind of mentioned they signed up after the Popcast episode, and I thought they were going to win. They're a team capable of winning this tournament. They got upset here in this first round against Octopi Utopia, and then went on this run. My Opsidus gone, Yumi Stars gone, Falling Sharks gone before running into a access denied team. So they beat some good teams here in losers bracket. If they get this win right here and they can have do themselves a little bit of favor, I think they would have done even better. But Dark Rain is a top 5 team going forward next month. Hopefully they sign up next month. I was glad they signed up this time around, but I thought they were going to destroy by top 10. And they came pretty close to doing it, honestly. The Molly Whoppers, Ticket to Ride, issued in 55, whatever. Got one win here against Falling Sharks before getting eliminated by Snowfall, but then went on a bit of a run here. Ink Bashers, Octopi Utopia before Lois knocked them out. Is this the best pickup team of the month? It looks like it. They finished ahead of 6 Gig and beat the team that beat 6 Gig. So Molly Whoppers take home the title as the best pickup team in low ink for December 2021. Lastly, man, I honestly don't know how Access Denied feels about me talking about them every single month, but they are here every single month. So, I mean, and they demand attention. They say no love for Access Denied. Who doesn't love Access Denied? Like, you guys are making Alpha Bracket every single time except for last month, which now has been erased because you're right back here and you dominated. My Opsidus 2-0. Octopi Utopia. Taking Snowfall. Almost got the reverse sweep on Snowfall. And then the MO for Access Denied has been when they lose and go to the losers, they usually just run out of steam. They took care of Dark Rain here, and then Lois set them up. They baited them, got them into that Rainmaker game, and that was, man, that I legit when in this game right here was the first time we saw the Trident comp The double sploosh. I was legit when Brush was like, "Oh, here's the weapons they're using." I was taking a sip of water, and when I saw the double sploosh, I legit choked. I was like, I did a spit take, not like 100% did it, and I got water caught in my throat. You hear silence when Brush starts talking right there. That's because I muted myself because I was legit choking to death. And I had to I was not ready for that. And I don't know if Access Denied was ready for it either. But now we know what Lois is about going forward. It was really crazy. But still, look, Access Denied. They're a strong team. They shouldn't be thought less of because they can't get the win. Only one team can win this every month. And it's always somebody we don't expect, as we kind of point out here, but still. What do we say about this grand finals? What happened here? What happened here? I have no idea. You could just chalk it up to the typical, oh, they just ran out of steam. They just had a bit of a break and they didn't, the momentum thing we always talk about. That might be what happened here, but once the Seals kind of woke up and the reset and won game one, it was basically over at that point. They lost the Rainmaker, but I don't think anybody's going to beat Lois and Rainmaker. I think it's not going to happen. Now, my team played Lois and Rainmaker. We did. Actually, yeah, we did. They played in that Rainmaker-only tournament. My team played them twice. They didn't use that comp that they've been using in this Lowing. They used Tetra and Nautilus, I think. When did they switch to that other comp? It worked out. Man, I'm glad they didn't use that against us when we played them. But still, I think Lois... These guys are good. Yeah, but I like these guys. The Sleepy Seals, I kind of joked at them. They should post that picture on their account yesterday of Peter punching Lois, and they did. And Lois, the team Lois, was really good sports about that. They loved it, or at least appeared to love it. You like that. You like a team that can take a joke and can... They seem to make a lot of jokes themselves, which is good. The more you look into Lois, like the players they have in the Twitter account they got and the way they present themselves, the more likable they are. They just seem like a norm. Yeah, they could be absolute jerks for all I know, but they appear on the surface to be really likable people. So that was cool to see. And I'm excited to see them back next month for sure. For the Sleeping Seals, this is the most spoiled low ink champion we've had all year long. Why? Because I usually come on here and say, cool, you won low ink. Now you're going to get disbanded in a couple of months when you realize that low level sucks. But they got an SAC they can play in. Now they got to scrap with Div 2 and Div 1 teams. That's might not be super fun, but still, there's something for the Sleeping Seals to do directly after this. And that's going to be, that's good for them. It's good for all of us. It's good for the scene as a whole. An hour and 15 minutes of talking. That's a lot of talking. That's not where... What button am I looking at here? This is the button we're looking for. Ludi recap on Monday. Popcast Awards sometime before maybe Thursday next week. I don't know yet. We'll figure that out. If you'd like to be a part of the Popcast in any way, if you want to tell me if I was issued in 55, I guess, feel free to reach out. My socials below. Twitter, Mr_Popgun, Discord, Popgun, hashtag 5882, YouTube at 25Popgun, Twitch at Popgun25, Anchor.fm/Popgun, TikTok at Mr_Popgun, I guess. If we're going to save low ink, I got to figure out TikTok. That sucks. I don't know who this guy is. Who is this? Let's go raid this person. Have a good Christmas, unless it's something you don't celebrate, in which case, have a good week. Get vaccinated, get the booster shot, wear masks, don't die. You guys have done a really good job of not dying yet. Try to do that again next week.